Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good afternoon, everybody. My name is Hairona Imran Albidin. I'm the master student in pharmacy practice UiTM Puncak Alam. So today I'm going to talk about qualitative data analysis. Okay, what is qualitative data analysis? In research, usually we will have two types of study, which is quantitative study and also qualitative study. In quantitative study, there is no such things such as qualitative data. It always about number in the study, and everything is either 0 or 1. We will look into the statistical analysis, the numbers that we have from the data of the study, while in the qualitative study, all the research is ultimately has a qualitative grounding. In qualitative study, we will look into the explanation and also on how we interpret data which is in words form. The qualitative study is always about interviewing people and how we will analyze what are the theme, what are the domain in the study, which will be divided into several parts of the result. So the quantitative and qualitative is a different approaches to arrive at the same destiny. The destiny means to answer the research question. Quantitative study is about number, while qualitative study is always the data the data in words. So for this presentation, there are several outlines, which is qualitative research, qualitative data, qualitative analysis, qualitative software, and also qualitative reporting. We will look into all of these parts. For qualitative research, what is qualitative research? So this is the definition of a qualitative research, which is the development of concepts which help us to understand social phenomena in natural rather than experimental setting, and giving due emphasis to the meanings, experience, and views of the participants. In qualitative research, it's always the researcher will interview the participants and obtain a lot of data on what are their experience, what are their views regarding certain research question. So dimensions of qualitative methods. Qualitative methods is used to understanding context, such as how economic, political, social, cultural, environmental, and organizational factors influence health, to understand people, how people make sense of their experiences of health and disease, and also to understand interaction on how the various actors involved in different public health activities interact with each other. So this is the differences between qualitative and quantitative differences. For qualitative, for the purpose, qualitative research is always to describe a situation, gain insight to particular practice, while quantitative to measure the magnitude, how widespread is a practice. For the format, there is no predetermined response categories, but while for quantitative study, predetermined response categories and standard measure will be set before the research being done. And the data is for qualitative study is in-depth explanatory data from a small sample size, while for the quantitative is a wide breadth of data from large statistically representative sample. For purpose of analysis, qualitative will draw out patterns from concept and insights, while while a quantitative study will test hypotheses and use data to support conclusion. Result of qualitative study is used to illustrative explanation and individual responses, while quantitative study is always numerical aggregation in summaries, and responses are clustered. For sampling of qualitative study is always theoretical, while for quantitative study is always statistical. And research question for quantitative is fixed or focused, while qualitative study is always broader and contextual and inflexible. For the expected outcomes for quantitative study is identified in advance, while for qualitative study, usually the expected outcome is not predefined and always become an emergent of research question. For hierarchy of phases, quantitative study have the linearity of phases, while qualitative study is in circular phases. For confounding factors of quantitative studies, it is controlled during design and analysis. However, in qualitative study, the confounding factors is searched in the field. For the time dimension, quantitative study will require slower time to finish. However, for qualitative study, it depends. Certain research can be finished rapidly, but certain based on the research question. But certain research question of qualitative study might take some time to finish the research. And also for the quantitative study, the sampling is a random sampling, while for the qualitative study is an open-ended and less structured protocols. For the tools, the structured data collection instruments it will be available for the quantitative study, while for the qualitative study, it depends on the interactive interviews. For the result, quantitative study will produce results that generalize, compare, and summarize, while for the qualitative study, it produces results that give meaning, experience, and views. And there is also a models for combining qualitative and quantitative methods, which is a sequential use model and also concurrent use model. Okay. What is the important concepts in designing qualitative research? There are several concepts in designing qualitative research, such as natural setting, holism, human as a research instrument, emergent design, and saturation or redundancy. For the natural setting, means that participants are free from any control and data are collected in their natural environment. Holism means the whole is more than the sum, take magnitude of contextual factors into account. For the human as research instrument, researcher is involved in every step, being responsive, flexible, adaptive, and good listener. For the emergent design, the study design emerged as further insights are gained through data collection and analysis. For the saturation and redundancy, a stage where additional interview or observation is not believed to add new information enough to it means enough is enough, means we will have an interview to the participants, and we will add in all the new information until it reach a point where there is no more new additional information gained from the study. This is the common qualitative study design, which is ethnography, phenomenology, grounded theory, participatory action research, and also case study. Okay, ethnography means it portrays people with the study of the story and culture of a group, usually to develop cultural awareness and sensitivity. For phenomenology, the study of individuals' lived experience of events, such as experience of HK. For grounded theory, is going beyond adding to the existing body of knowledge, developing a new theory about a phenomenon. This is a theory grounded on data, which is the theory is not have been proposed before this. For participatory action research, individuals and groups researching their own personal beings, social cultural settings and experience. For the case study, it is an in-depth investigation of a single or small number of units at a point over a period of time. For example, evaluation of service. So for sampling in qualitative research, what is the aim in sampling in qualitative research? It is to generate a sample to generate a sample which allows understanding the social process of interest. The technique is purposive sampling, which is the selection of the most productive sample to answer the research question. Ongoing interpretation of data will indicate who should be approached, including identification of missed voices. For the size, the one that adequately answers the research question until new categories, themes, or explanation stop emerging from the data, and it depends on available time and resources. Okay, this is the sampling technique in qualitative research. As you can see here, there's a lot of sampling technique, such as noble chain sampling, extreme or deviant case sampling, homogeneous sampling, maximum variation sampling, convenience sampling, and also opportunistic sampling. For qualitative data, okay, what is qualitative data? Qualitative data is data that are not easily reduced to numbers. It's not numbers. It always in words, in wording. Data that it is also a data that are related concepts, opinions, value, and behaviors of people in social context. Transcripts of individual interviews and focus groups, field notes from observation of certain activities, copies of documents, audio, video, and recordings. And types of qualitative data, there are structured text, unstructured text, audio recordings, music, and also video recordings. So, qualitative data collection methods, there are a lot of methods such as observations, interview, focus group discussion, and also other methods. In observation, the researcher will get close enough to study subjects to observe, usually to understand whether people do what they say they do and to access the tacit knowledge of subjects. For the interview, this involves asking questions, listening to and recording answers from an individual or group on a structured, semi-structured, or unstructured format in an in-depth manner. Focus group discussion is focused and interactive session with a group small enough for everyone to have chance to talk and large enough to provide diversity of opinions. And other methods that also have been used, such as rapid assessment procedure, free listing, file sort ranking, and life history, such as biography. And there are a lot of types of questions for qualitative interview, such as hypothetical, provocative, ideal, interpretative, leading, loading, and also multiple. Okay, and all of these are the examples of how of these types of question, such as hypothetical. The example of the question is, if you get the chance to be an HIV scientist, do you think you can discover a vaccine for HIV? For provocative, I have heard people saying most evaluation are subjective. What do you think? For ideal, in your opinion, what would be the best solution for eliminating gender-based violence? Interpretative, what do you mean by good? Leading, do you think prevention is better than cure? Loading, sorry. Do you watch that culturally degrading TV shows on condom use? And multiple, tell your 3 favorite actors, authors, the book you like best by each author and why you like those books. Okay, for focus of positive questions, it will look into the experience when how you told your manager that the project as well, what happened, example of opinion, what do you think about the role of evaluation for program improvement. For the feelings when you got to know that the project was a success, how did you feel? Knowledge, tell me about the different ways of promoting PME. Input, when you have lectures on evaluability assessment, what does the instructor tell you? So to prepare the transcript of the interview, the interview will be transcribed word by word, and also non-verbal expression also will be considered, and the researcher will try to do the transcribing themselves, and the transcriber also must be always patient because it is always time consuming. So this is the example of preparing metadata log. We have to produce project research title, data of collection, place of data collection, ID code, research team, method of data collection, documentation type such as tape recorder, notes and observation. So for purpose of qualitative data analysis, qualitative data analysis is the range of processes and procedure whereby we move from the qualitative data that have been collected into some form of explanation, understanding, interpretation of the people and situation that we are investigating. So there are several approaches in analysis, such as deductive approach and inductive approach. Okay. Points of focus in analyzing text data: the primary message content, the evaluative attitude of the speaker toward the message, whether the content of the message is meant to represent individual or group shared ideas, and the degree to which the speaker is representing actual versus hypothetical experiences. So, quantitative and quantitative data analysis. For qualitative, it begins with more general, open-minded question. It have a predefined variables that are not identified in advance, and the preliminary analysis is an inherent part of data collection, while for quantitative, it is a key explanatory and outcome variables, contextual confounding variables, identify and control. Data collection and analysis distinctly separate places, and the analysis use formal statistical procedure. And then this is the tools for helping the analytical processes. There will be summaries, self-memos, and research diary. And this is the terms used in the qualitative data analysis, such as theory, themes, characteristic, coding, coding sorts, and indexing. The principle of qualitative data analysis: people differ in their experience and understanding of the reality. a social phenomenon can be understood outside its own context. Qualitative research can be used to describe a phenomenon or generate theory grounded on data. Understanding human behavior emerges slowly and non-linearly, and exceptional cases may yield insights into a problem or new idea for further inquiry. And these are the features of qualitative data analysis. Analysis is circular, is the iterative and progressive, which have been described before. Okay, this is the circular show that the phases of circle in qualitative study. The process of qualitative data analysis. First, we have to organize data, identify the framework, sort data in framework, use the framework for the descriptive analysis, and second order analysis. First, we have to organize the data, transcribe the data, translate the data, do data cleaning and label the data. Second, we have to identify a framework, read a lot, identify a framework. Framework will structure, label, and define data. Framework is similar with the coding plan. For sort data into the framework, we have to code the data, modify the framework. Data entry is used computer packages. In step 4, use framework in descriptive analysis. Descriptive analysis will use a range of response and categories and identify recurrent themes. Fifth, second order analysis. We have to identify recurrent themes, notice patterns in the data, identify respondent cluster, build sequence of events, search data to answer this question, and also develop hypothesis and tests. In types of qualitative data, there are several types of qualitative analysis data, such as content analysis, narrative analysis, discourse analysis, framework analysis, and also grounded theory. For the content analysis, is the procedure for the categorization of verbal and behavioral data for the purpose of classification, summarization, and tabulation. For the narrative analysis, narrative are transcribed experiences. Every interview, observation has a narrative aspect. The researcher has to sort out and reflect on them, enhance them, and present them in a revised shape to the reader. For the discourse analysis, a method of analyzing naturally taught all types of written text, focus on ordinary people, method of producing and making sense of everyday social life, how language is used in everyday situation. For the framework analysis, there are several frameworks such as familiarization and identifying a thematic framework, coding, charting, and mapping and interpretation. Okay. For grounded theory, we use analytic induction, which starts with examination of single case from a predefined population in order to formulate a general statement about a population, a concept, or a hypothesis. Then they analyze, examine another case to see whether it fits the statement. If it does, a further case is selected. If it doesn't fit, there are two options. Either the statement is changed to fit both cases, or the definition of the population is changed in such a way that the case is no longer a member of the newly defined population. Strategies for analyzing observation. There are several strategies can be used, such as chronology, key events, failure settings, by using people, process, and also issues. Okay, this is the criteria, issues, and solution which we will have in qualitative studies. We have to look into the credibility, transferability, dependability, and conformability. For the qualitative software, we have to choose and use computer software, if possible, to conduct qualitative analysis. But it is also possible to conduct qualitative analysis without a computer. The concern is relying too much on computer shortcuts will impede the process by distancing the researcher from the text. But however, the advantage The advantages is it will ease the burden of cutting and paste by hand and produce more powerful analysis by creation and insertion of codes into text files, indexing, construction of hyperlinks, and selective retrieval of text segments. For the traditional method of qualitative analysis, after gathering data researcher, they will transcribe the source material, make multiple photocopies, read through and assign codes, cut the pages up in the coded passages, and manually sort the coded in order to analyze the patterns they find. For the qualitative analysis with qualitative software, your workflow will be similar, but each type will be made easier by the computer's capability for data storage, automated searching, and display. You can use text, picture, audio, and data sources directly. When you use computer software in qualitative study, these are the step. We have to transcribe data, writing, editing data, storage data, coding data, search and retrieval of data, data linking, writing, editing memos, display, selected, reduce data, graphic mapping, and prepare reporting. How to choose software? Key question. We will have to consider several things such as type and amount of data, theoretical approach to analyze, time to learn versus time to analyze, level of analysis, desired closeness to the data, any desired multiplication of results, individual or working as a team, peer software support available at any cost constraint. This is the common qualitative software: Atlas, Max QDA, QSRN6, and Vivo. Okay. So this is the basic steps in using qualitative software. We have to install first, learn, prepare the source document, open a project study unit, import text, audio, video, picture, read the imported text documents, select the segment of the text, insert codes, categories, memos, search, sort, manage categories, and manage quotation, mapping of the concept, and also producing reports matrices. And for writing qualitative report, qualitative research generates rich information. Thus, deciding where to focus and the level of sharing is very challenging. To getting ready to write, the researcher must come close to the point of maturation, organize the materials, and write in chronicle. There are several formats which can be considered, and we will also focus for the academic. They will focus on conceptual framework. For the practitioner, we will focus on concrete suggestion for better practice. For the lay reader, the lay reader will focus on the problem solving and reform on practice policy. Variation in the report format. There are a lot of report formats such as problem solving approach, narrative approach, policy approach, and analytic approach. Reporting qualitative data typically use quotes from data. It's descriptive, direct link data, and credibility. Ways to use quotes: illustrative, range of issue, and opposing views. Reporting without quotes: list range of issue, rank or sequence issues, and sequence issues. Describe types of behavior, strategies, and experience, report proportions, and also flow diagrams, decision making, event sequencing. For the interpretation, is the act of identifying and explaining the core meaning of data, organizing and connecting imaging themes, sub-themes, and contradiction to get the bigger picture, what it all means. Okay. Make generalization. We have to also make a generalization by providing answers to questions of social and theoretical significance, and also ensuring credible and trustworthy interpretation. This is the standard report of the format. There will be introduction, methods, results, conclusion, recommendation, acknowledgement, and also references. And this is the example of qualitative study. A qualitative study of community pharmacists' opinion on the provision of osteoporosis disease state management services in Malaysia. This is the methods. We use semi-structured individual interviews and focus group discussion, and also look at the sample size. Is always a small sample size because we will have an interview and we will have rich data in the study. There is only 19 community pharmacists in this study. Another example is perception on and attitudes towards medication error reporting in primary care clinics, a qualitative study in Malaysia. Also, the methods also require only 31 participants, and the result is in 6 teams and 38 codes were identified. Okay, that's all from me. Okay, thank you for your time.